The NBA play-in tournament is coming really soon. Basically set in stone that the Spurs will face the Pelicans in the play-in tournament and the Timberwolves will face the Los Angeles Clippers. Honestly, I think these are two interesting matchups that could go any way. And in today's video, I just want to talk about who I think will win the matchup between the Los Angeles Clippers and the Minesota Timberwolves. I think it's going to be a really good game. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Timberwolves and how they could possibly win, then talk about how the Clippers and how they could possibly win. Then at the end of the video, I'm going to come to a conclusion on who I predict to win the game. But before we get into the video, I ask you to drop a like on this video as it does help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if you want to go with 3,000 subscribers, also drop a comment on this video as I do respond to all of my comments, and play that intro. So to first talk about the Timberwolves side, Timberwolves are just straight up been the better season all year. They're 10 games above 500, whereas the Clippers aren't even above 500 at the making of this video. I think overall, they're the better constructed team, and honestly, they're probably the more talented team. They might not have the best player on the court, that would be Paul George, but Karl-Anthony Towns is definitely capable of having a big game and outplaying whoever the Clippers' best player is. The Timberwolves have one of the best offenses in the league. They have several guys who could go out for big games, several guys who can create their own shot. Definitely the better offense in this matchup. They could get on fire and just torch the Clippers in a game like this. We all know how good Karl-Anthony Towns is. He can have a big game scoring over 30 points. Anthony Edwards is sometimes kind of inconsistent, but when he's on, he's really on. D'Angelo Russell is also a little bit inconsistent. You never know how much he's going to score, but he's definitely capable of going off. Malik Beasley is a guy who went on fire, can hit 5 threes. And they also have one of the best benches in the league, so their bench can help them out a lot in a game like this. Also, before in prior years, the Timberwolves are definitely one of the more soft years, but ever since Adam Patrick Beverley, they're now a more tough and gritty team. And before, I would have thought a game like this would make them nervous and then just choke. But now I actually think Minnesota is ready to just dominate this game. Maybe they won't hit their shots or something that could obviously lead to them like losing the game, but I just think they have way more guys who are ready to play in a big game like this. I haven't even talked about the Timberwolves defense, which is really good. Might not be as good as the Clippers, but in general, they're a really good defensive team. Guys like Jalen McDaniels and Jared Vanderbilt, I think, can do a solid job on Paul George. I don't think they're going to slow him down, but I don't think he'll absolutely torch them. So if I'm being just blunt and straight honest, if the Timberwolves are going to win this game, it's going to be because they were straight up the better team in this matchup, because they are the better team. The Timberwolves are better than the Los Angeles Clippers, even when the Clippers have Paul George. They have just as good depth, but better players overall. Why? I mean, I have to admit though, just because you're the better team doesn't mean you're not capable of having an off day and losing this game. Next, I want to talk about the Clippers in this matchup, and straight up, I'm going to be honest, if the Clippers did not have Paul George returning, I don't think the Clippers would even have a chance to win this. But now that they have Paul George and he's going to be the best player on the court in this game, they really do have a chance. But a question I do have to ask is if whether or not we're going to see the Paul George dropping 30 points or the Paul George dropping 14 points. Because obviously in the past, we've seen him shrink in big moments like this. So I'm kind of questioning about that. Which Paul George are we going to get? But I do think Paul George has improved as a player since then, and I expect him to have a solid game. The Clippers are also a team that doesn't have as much star power as a team like the Wolves, but they have a lot of guys who could just give you quality buckets scoring over 15. We've all seen Reggie Jackson have big games, especially on national television. He's a guy who always steps up when the lights are its brightest. They have guys like Luke Kennard who can go off for hit 3 or 4 threes. Marcus Morris is definitely capable of giving you a 20-point game. Norman Powell is the guy who I think is this team's second best player, and he's going to probably be playing tomorrow against Phoenix, meaning he's going to be able to play in the play-in tournament. Honestly, I really think that helps the Clippers' chances because he's a guy who always steps up in big games. As a Raptor fan, I know that, and he's just a 20 points per game scorer. Also, Robert Covington just had a 40-point game. Maybe he can have a game hitting 4 or 5 threes. Clippers are one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the league, even though they don't have a good offensive rating. I think in a game like this, they could really match with Minnesota's offense because Paul George and Norman Powell are returning, and then they have Reggie Jackson stacks in 3 really good shot creators. And I haven't even talked about the defensive side of the floor, where I think they actually fit really well against the Timberwolves, because they have many defenders who can be thrown at Russell, such as like Paul George, Terrence Mann, and same with like Anthony Edwards. You could throw Paul George on Anthony Edwards if he's going crazy. When it comes to guarding Karl-Anthony Towns, there's not much centers who could guard Karl-Anthony Towns, but I think Ivica Zubac can do a solid job guarding him on the post. On the perimeter is a different story, but there's not much big men, as I said, who can do it. So honestly, I think they match up well against them defensively. So basically, if the Clippers win, it's going to be because they just have so much guys who can go out for a big game. They're also the way more experienced team, and I think they actually match up well against Minnesota. To answer the question of who I think will win the game, I'm going to go with the unpopular pick, and I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Clippers. I am aware that the Timberwolves are the better team, and I still think they'll make the playoffs, but something about the Clippers is just they have way more experience than the Timberwolves. They have way more guys who I could rely on in a big game like this, and honestly, the Clippers are not that much worse of a team than the Timberwolves. Like, obviously, the Timberwolves are the better team, but we can't act like the Clippers don't have some of the best role players in the league, and they have the best player going into this game. I think it's going to be a tight and exciting game. I think every play-in game is going to be like that, but honestly, I'm going with the Clippers. Anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Let me know whether or not you think or who you think is winning this game. Drop a like on this video to help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if you want to go with 3,000 subscribers, also drop a comment on this video as I do respond to all of my comments, and play that intro.